Newcastle threats. They are an interesting team when you talk about Newcastle. I mean, they're in fifth. Fifth looks like it's going to get a Champions League spot. So they've got a real shot there. If you look at their goals, I mean, they score a lot of goals. 46. There's only a few teams that have scored more in the Premier League, but they ship a lot. 36. That's a lot of goals at this stage of the season. And we remember even away, we got 3, didn't we? Just that Keller Herrera stops it being 3 points. You look at their last 5. I mean, Bournemouth battered them at home. That 4-1 defeat, 4-1 victory for Bournemouth, you could say, didn't flatter them. Everyone beat Southampton with the greatest of respect. Lost at home to Fulham. City destroyed them in that first half, didn't they? We know what we did to City. Although, even this last game is interesting when you talk about the threats, because they were 4-1 up at half-time, and yet at the end, they're holding on. It's a 4-3 victory over Nottingham Forest, but that doesn't quite tell the story of everything, does it? That Forest came back, and there was a bit of fortune there for Newcastle in that one. So they can be got at. But when we talk about their threats, I mean, you don't go any further than Alexander Isak, do you? Mentioned in this press conference his quality. 24 appearances in the Premier League, 19 goals. 19 goals, 5 assists. He is the main threat, especially as Arne Slot talked about on the break. Anthony Gordon started to come back into form, and maybe the talk with us, the links, distracted him at the start, but 11 goal contributions in 25. So he's the other one to watch out for. A name that many people might jump on me for, but it is important to mention. Almost when you think about him, not a headline name, Jacob Murphy, but if you look at there, 5 goals, 8 assists, 13 goal contributions in 23 Premier League appearances. A possible threat. Those are the 3 I would call out especially. And a few comments coming out about Newcastle. Ballers FC there saying, I think Newcastle's focus has been on the final ever since they beat Arsenal. I wouldn't mind that at all, to be honest. Maybe they are thinking about the final. And you'd understand why if you were a Geordie. Not won much ever. That's not to be derogatory. It is a huge club. It's a huge, passionate fan base. But there's not many trophies that there's similarities but stark differences with us at the start time. So you understand if those Newcastle fans and maybe the players are thinking about Wembley. So I asked David Lynch, is it a Carabao dress rehearsal? And he's maybe made the point that maybe their minds are there. It is a fair shout in that regard. But when we talk about threats, the form doesn't look the best, but they did win their last game. And when you talk about their players, there's 2 or 3 that can really hurt you. One Swedish forward in particular, who we know Liverpool like the look of, but that's maybe a different show for a different day. Which then brings us into our lineup, score and scorers. Ballers FC's gone there, saying Ali, Trent, Kanate, VVD, Costas, Grav, Mac, Jones, Salah, Jota, Gakpo. I don't think I'm going to stray too far away from that, funnily enough, at all, Ballers FC, that Trent, well, he's the only available right back at the moment, isn't he? So that's obvious. I would start Costas myself, but the fact Andy Robertson came off Robbo 20 minutes to go, I think Robbo starts. I don't know what Costas has done or is not doing, but he just can't seem to get in the lineup. And I thought Robbo played quite well against City. I want to give him a shout and praise for that, but his overall form hasn't been the most convincing, if we're honest. But I do think Robbo will start again. Like it or not, it wouldn't be my choice in this. And the 2 centre-backs, the wall completes itself. Midfield. I mean, I think unless they are, just rendered incapable, then Mac and Gravenberg are going to be the pivot. No 2 ways about it. So they're going to start, which then comes to, is it 3 or 4 midfielders he's going to keep? I think the fact that Dominic Szoboszlai looked exhausted, really much collapsed to the turf, I think he is on the bench for this one personally. So I think Curtis Jones starts. And also, did anyone clock? Curtis was the one that came off for Endo, wasn't he, with 20 or so to go. So I think Curtis Jones is going to start this game. I suspect Szoboszlai at some point to join from the bench. So I do think it's back to 3 midfielders, Szoboszlai on the bench, which means you've got to pick 3 forwards. Now, one, the Egyptian king, the demigod, picks itself. So who are the other 2? I think Diaz did well in that City game. I know people will call for no goal contribution again, but I think Cody Gakpo at home. I mean, has anyone seen the run Cody Gakpo is on at home at the moment? Just absolutely insane, isn't it? In terms of important goal contribution. So I'm thinking Gakpo's going to start on the left. And unless anything comes out now in the embargo section, I'm expecting Jota to be up front. So very similar to Ballers FC. For me, Alisson, Trent, Konate, VVD. I do think it will be Robbo at left back personally. Grav and Mac as the base. Jones a bit higher. Salah on the right. Gakpo on the left for me. And Jota in the middle. A home game at Newcastle is very different to an away game at City, isn't it? In terms of they expect probably Newcastle to score. We might just be looking to outgun them, which I think we should do in that regard. Yeah, Jan Temple saying that it is superb to have Gakpo back, especially when you look at the record he's got at home. So important for us. Which then only leaves it to score and scorer, doesn't it, in that regard? For me, ahead of this one, and it is a huge game, it's a challenge to play Newcastle. I expect us to score, but I expect us to concede. So what I'm going for in this one, rightly or wrongly, and I'll take it all day long as we win with no injuries, 3-1. Only a 4 bets against Mo Salah being on the score sheet, don't they? So 3-1, Salah to score. Jan also saying there, I'm worried about Newcastle getting in behind the fullbacks. Trent's going to have to be on it. Anthony Gordon is not Jeremy Doku, just to be clear, that he can go past and he can cause harm as well. So Trent's going to have to be on it at right back. Robbo, yeah, against Murphy. We'll see. That'll be an interesting contest. He's got goals against us, hasn't he? Got that blammer at St. James's Park. He scored at Anfield as well. So you hope, like on Sunday, VVD and Konate are on it to meet the challenge they will bring. But 3-1, Salah to score is what I've gone there. Ball has gone 2-0. Listen, a clean sheet would be great if we could get into that routine. It's just at this stage of the season, win, no injuries. That's what it's about. Because if you can do that, remember, we have the weekend off. There's no FA Cup game for us. Maybe that defeat to Plymouth isn't looking too bad now, if you're deadly honest. So you can move on from there and have the rest before PSG, the away leg, a week tomorrow. We will see, though. Just over 24 hours. Say it's the late 1, 8:15 kickoff at Anfield. Wednesday, the 26th of February. 3 points and no injuries. And can you imagine if this is what you hope happens, and I'm in the ground, I'm hoping this happens. Forest Arsenal is 45 minutes before. You can imagine if at times that almost they're finishing, Arsenal have dropped points, and we're starting the second half there, hopefully ahead, but just what that could mean. I mean, maybe I'm being greedy here and touch wood it goes to plan, but could the gap even be bigger? We will find out tomorrow night anyway, won't we? Well, there we go, ladies and gents. Tuesday, the 25th of February. That was another post-conference presser for Anfield Index.